They all went underground. That's a fact.
The cartels?
So all the cartels are hiding.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try. My family.
Pull and Thread Podcast, episode 119. They seem to like that last one.
What last one? We did one last week?
Yeah, 118.
I think I blacked
Is
out.
118 out yet?
They did like it?
They like all of them.
Oh. I got a shout out to Humphreys County Sheriff's Department. Hardest working sheriff department in Tennessee, maybe.
What's the shout out to them?
Just say they're doing a good job. Doing a good job out there.
Okay.
One of them accosted me at a Casey's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gave me a coin. I'm like,
Oh, no shit?
yeah. I'm like, what? Young officer. I was like,
And he knew the podcast?
He knew the podcast.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fucking cool. We've always been cool with all those guys.
No, I know,
especially
yeah,
the
yeah.
sheriffs.
Yeah.
Same here. Like, we're cool. Like, we have so many new cops on the force here. I see them, and, like, we don't know who each other are.
I think that's kind of...
I think if they want to move here, they can automatically get a job in Camden because it's so small and underpaid. And then they can easily go to fucking Waverly or somewhere
Well, that's
else.
what that was the problem with Waverly for a long time, and I don't know if it's changed or what, but they would put somebody Waverly would put somebody through the academy, and then Jayville and Dixon would immediately steal them once they came on the streets because they could pay more.
What?
Yeah.
Waverly has way more money than Johnsonville has.
No, New Johnsonville was they were
Johnsonville-
stealing people.
all
They
New
were
John-
stealing people.
All New Johnsonville does is write tickets.
New Johnsonville and Dixon. Dixon was the big one where the guys would get
I could
stolen
see
from.
Dixon. Yeah, I could see Dixon grabbing people because they're big and like you have a lot of Nashville people that live in Dixon.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Let's see. Is everything-
Putin's lost his mind.
Well,
Did they try to assassinate Putin's helicopter with him in it?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's what Putin's saying.
I don't think so.
There's a lot of people saying that. A lot of fucking people.
Yeah, I don't
saying
think
that.
so. I think if they tried to assassinate Putin in his helicopter would have blown up.
And then they deployed countermeasures. There was a bunch of drones trying to hit it.
Definitely drone. Yeah,
And then the entire
long range drones.
upper echelon state of fucking Russia relocated to all in one evening. Relocated to their deep underground bases or wherever their control center.
Yeah,
would be.
because the Ukrainians are hitting them with long range drones.
Yeah, and then Germany, I guess, is it Germany? Somebody gave Ukraine some longer range equipment, and I guess the United States gave them the blessing, which means we're giving them the fucking radar for it or whatever
Yeah, we're basically
to strike inside Russia.
Giving them the GPS guidance systems to be able to do it.
And then a couple weeks ago, I saw a blurb on some news network as I was about to start the live, talking about U.S. aircraft being used against cartels inside Mexico, and that they had gone in and bombed some place in Russia or in Mexico. The next day, because I'd asked people about it, like, yep, I saw it. I can't find anything on it. Yes, I saw it. A bunch of people on the live said yes, I saw that. And I expected to wake up in the morning and see some F-15s or something had bombed someplace in Mexico, but there's no talk of it. And then this morning, I saw there's a dude, all he does is, I think he's an ex-SF guy or something, all he does is talk about what it will look like when we deploy U.S. forces against Mexican cartels in Mexico. And then I saw he just made a video about there was a gunfight when we just took out a head of a cartel. I thought it was in Mexico. I've not clicked on it yet. So who knows what's going on?
Well,
Do we really know what's going on?
they all went underground. That's a fact.
The cartels?
So all the cartels are hiding. They've been hiding since Trump has been president.
Everyone and their brother.
The question is, how long can they hide? Because again, it's kind of like when the Marines were in Los Angeles during the riots. The gangs, the Bloods, the Crips, and whoever else is running around up there, they were losing money exponentially every single day because they couldn't conduct regular business. And so that's why the Bloods and the Crips got together on TV and shook hands and were like, hey, we're going to fucking stop the riots, and we're all lovey-dovey to get the Marines to leave so they could make money. And so the question will be, how long can the cartels hold out before they have to come out of hiding to make that money? And then they're in trouble because we already know where they're all at. Like we started long range, we started surveillance on them before Trump even started really talking about it. We had an agreement with we had the agreement with Mexico to be able to fly those missions anyways. So we already know where they're at. The question is...
Yeah, I mean, if we can find a motherfucker in a cave in other countries that doesn't have an electronic fingerprint, we know right where all those fucking
we
dudes are.
know, we already know where they're at. The question is just, what does Trump do? I think I hate to say it, but I think that the powers that be within the Pentagon or wherever this war is being fought from, they want to keep the pressure on the cartels until the cartels do something that, the cartels do a Pearl Harbor on us. Like maybe they attack some police station in Laredo or kill some National Guard guys. We need that thing to be like, okay, we're killing all of them. So I think that's what they're doing, is they're just waiting for the cartels to do something really stupid.
Do you think we want to kill all of them?
No. You have to...
because then you wouldn't need the DEA, right? The whole war on drugs. We didn't want to stop the drug flow.
That's not it. It's that whole idea of creating a balance. We, unfortunately, the war on drugs is not a real thing because too many Americans use drugs. And so the idea really is to create a balance, to put people in positions of power within the cartel structure that are going to create status quo. Meaning, let's stop killing Mexicans. Let's stop killing hundreds of thousands of Mexicans every year.
The cartels.
Let's stop all this infighting, because that's really the reason why the cartel... We created the problem in Mexico City by cutting the heads off, because we have this stupid idea, cut the heads off the snakes and the rest of the snake will die. No, it's like a worm.
You end up with the Hydra.
Yeah, it's like a worm. It just splits apart, makes more and more cartels, and that's why that's why Mexico's had such a hard time of it. The reality is, what you need to do is you need to figure out who's the most agreeable and put them in charge of those cartels and kind of let them run their businesses and continue to play the cat and mouse game that we've been playing with them for 100 years. Meaning, you're going to have, again, guys on this side that are trying to stop it, guys on this side that are trying to get it across the border, people over here using the drugs, and then people up here going, okay, you can intercept some of it, but you can't intercept all of it. Some of it's going to get through, so that's the game they're playing, or that's the game they need to reset up. The problem is you have a lot of liberal people within the government that think that they can fix the world. You can, even from like Bill Gates or any of these people, you have these liberal people within the government think that somehow they can fix the world, and they don't understand that the thing that they are talking about doing, no matter what it is, whether it's fucking get off oil or go to nuclear or whatever it is, they don't understand the downstream consequences of what they're doing, that they are actually going to create a bigger problem by meddling in something that should be status quo. It's kind of like the Middle East. People always bitch about all the turmoil in the Middle East. But at the end of World War II, what we did is we created status quo within the Middle East. Yes, were some of those those dictators and people in the Middle East fucking evil tyrants within their country, in their particular countries? Of course. But it was status quo. We didn't have to worry about that part of the world. It wasn't until we started playing the regime change game that part of the world de-escalated into a fucking nightmare. If we would have just been like, we really don't care about Iraq as long as Iraq is doing Iraq stuff. We really don't care about Iran as long as Iran is doing Iran stuff. The status quo would be the same, and we'd be fine right now. We wouldn't have all these existential crises all over the world that we do.
But
it's
we
when
want those.
Liberal government. No, we actually don't want them. It's when liberal governments.
How do you have a 20-year war then without it? Because that is the economy. The only thing holding the United States economy together is the 20-year, the military-industrial complex.
we created a
Just like look at Libya.
no, but you
Like
have to understand
when did we hit Libya the first time? Good morning, Mr. Gaddafi. This is your wake up call. That was what,
Yeah.
1984?
Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan. I don't know if I have 84 in my head for some reason. I had a T-shirt, from the Navy Exchange that's had the F-14 Tomcats on there. But then the name pops up 20, 30 years later, right? And we put him out of power. Look at Libya current environment right now.
We can existentially create wealth through the Department of through DoD contracts without being at war. The problem with war is you have these, again, liberals and rhinos that once the war is started, so once we get into war, they see the potential for making money themselves. And that's why they let it happen for 20 years, is because they're making that money while the war is going. We don't have to have a perpetual war in order to have a growing economy. What we have to have is fucking real leadership, and we don't have that in this country. Like, I mean, right now, what do you think the liberals? What do you think the number one thing that liberals are screaming about? The number one thing that liberals are screaming about with this big budget deal is, no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security, and they're all saying the same thing. Oh, Trump is not getting rid of that. You're still going to get
Not a single one of them voted for it.
Yeah, but again, they're saying you're still going to get taxed on those things. You're still going to get taxed on those things. Trump's a fucking liar. It was the Democrats that created those taxes. It was liberal Democrats that created those taxes. It was fucking Joe Biden who created tax on Social Security, and under his administration with Kamala Harris' vote, all tips were taxed. So it's like the South going. It's just, this is how the Democratic Party is right now. Imagine the South when Lincoln does the Emancipation Proclamation and frees all the slaves, right? When he's like, all slaves are free. Imagine if the South was like within a year or within a certain amount of time past a proclamation, if the South, all the Southerners are like, well, Lincoln's lying. He's lying. The slaves aren't free. We still have all our slaves. Like, that's what the Democratic Party, that's how the Democratic Party is. They're like, it's just, I don't know. It's a soup sandwich. And so maybe we need another revolution just to weed it all out and get back on the footing of the Constitution.
Was it Patton that wanted to go after Russia after Germany collapsed? Mm-hmm. Had we done that, what do you think would have happened? And why did we not do that?
We didn't do that because, well, we didn't do it for a couple of reasons. One, we didn't have the stomach for war. We didn't have the. We're just wore out. It's time to end the war, and we were. You have to remember, before World War II, we were not the powerhouse that we were. We gained a lot of power because of World War II. And you don't want to sacrifice the gift that you've been given on an endless war somewhere, especially in Russia. You need to read your history books. Alexander was the only one that was able to ever hold Russia for a long period of time, and he was way more fucking violent and cruel than we could ever be. So, it was done. There's plenty of people who wanted to attack Russia after World War II. Lawrence LeMay, the acting general, the chief of, I'm having a brain fart, but the general in charge of all Air Force troops after World War II, he deliberately sent B-52s into Russian airspace to try and get a response so he could start World War III. Like, people were doing it all the time. There were people that really wanted to just fucking duke it out with the Russians and get it over with. How would the world look different? I don't know. It's one of those things that, people will talk about. Can you go back in the past and kill Adolf Hitler and create a better world? You don't know that killing Hitler would create a better world. It may create a worse world. So, the timeline that the timeline that you currently know is the best timeline, because you don't know
butterfly effect.
Yeah, you don't know what your meddling could cause. So I don't know.
So I have no concept of what the states look like, or I don't even know what they're called in Canada. is it Quebec that just came down and had a private meeting with Trump?
I believe it's Alberta.
Alberta? It's where the oil comes
Yeah,
from.
I believe it's Alberta.
So they came down and said, hey, we want to be the 51st state.
That's the only state that we want.
We want to be the 51st state. And it's a female who's in charge of that area. And she said that they have so many votes that they're actually putting it on
The ballot.
This next vote, to move that forward.
Yeah, you're one of two things is going to happen, because there's one state within Canada that is providing all the that is providing all the welfare for the state of for the country of Canada anyways. Alberta can't leave. Like, they can't leave. They literally can't leave. And I think,
Aren't they landlocked anyways?
yeah, they are landlocked, but I think it's not even in the United States' best interest to entertain it. I know Trump would love to do it because it'd be a crazy ass victory, but you would basically have two states in Canada that would immediately implode because they get all their financial support from Alberta. So those two states would collapse, and you would be like having two third world countries right there. And there's nothing Canada could do about it. And the truth is, they currently don't have the leadership. They don't have the leadership in place to even affect it not happening. Like, there's nobody. They elected a fucking globalist. They elected a globalist who flies back to Europe to hang out. If you don't want Alberta to fucking become the 51st state, what you need to be doing is creating a national. You need to be creating nationalism within the state of Canada in order to keep Canada together, but they're not doing that. So I mean, the next 4 years could be very interesting on how things play out, and then you look at it, would Canada allow it? Like, let's say Alberta does put it on the referendum, and Alberta does say, "Fuck Canada, we want to be the 51st state."
Who stops it?
Well, Canada does have an army.
Right. How many people are in that army?
It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
matter.
true.
The United, we're not going to. If Alberta's like, "Hey, we want to be the 51st state," and Trump's like, "That would be cool," and then Canada sends all its forces into Alberta to fucking dismantle that government. We're not sending F-15 Eagles up into fucking Canada to fight for Alberta.
You don't think there'd be some
No, I don't think so.
covert operations, passing out some Bibles and
I mean, there probably would be covert operations,
building some schoolhouses and roads and shit,
there'd probably be some covert operations, but I don't
winning
think
hearts
we would.
and minds.
I don't think we would. I think we'd let them hang. I mean, I don't know, because again, Alberta is the
Isn't it mostly Muslims there?
no, but Alberta is the breadbasket of Canada. So, unlike when we talked about this before, we don't want Canada. We don't want Canada. They're fucking hard. They're hard liberals, and their population is way too old. And there's only one state within Canada that actually has a GDP.
Aren't most of the people in Canada not from Canada?
I mean, I don't know the actual.
Do you remember when I talked about in France and over in the UK and shit, they were finding these shipping containers, and somebody cut some locks on some of these shipping containers, and they were full of arms, military arms, not just like guns, but like actual military guns. That's come back up in the news again. It came back up last couple days that there's shipping containers being dropped places,
They find shipping containers get dropped all over the place.
but full of full
I mean,
of
guns,
M4s and night vision and
The question would be: is that story? Is that a real story? Because the only shipping container story that I've heard of washing up on shore was a
this wasn't washed up on shore.
was
These
a
are-
shipping container full of meat.
Yeah, no, these are placed like
Oh, placed somewhere? Well, that's different. That, I mean, arms and ammunition are smuggled in all over the world through shipping containers all the time.
yeah, these aren't found in ports though. They're like in cities where there's high Muslim populations and shit. I'll see if I can find. I don't know point of origin on the story.
I doubt that's true. I doubt it's true. And even if it is, well, again,
Well, riot season's coming.
I just said, even again, I just said maybe sometimes you have to, water the tree of liberty with blood every now and then. The worst possible outcome. This is the kind of thing that most people don't understand. The worst possible outcome for, we'll just say, because you brought it up, like Muslims, is warfare. Going to war is the worst possible outcome for them. The best possible outcome for Muslim countries and Muslims throughout the world is subversion through political action.
Yeah, outbreed.
Well, just subversion through political action, using the like that's going on in Britain right now, using the laws within a certain country in order to become the predominant culture in that country and suppress the actual people who live in there.
Yeah, I saw
a shipping container of guns in, I don't know, let's just say Minnesota. A shipping container of guns in Minnesota that are going to be distributed to Muslims that want to take arms up against the United States. That will be the worst possible outcome for the Muslim community within the United States, because they will get fucking annihilated to the point where Muslims won't exist in this country anymore. And if that particular group does enough damage, meaning they kill enough Americans, we're going after their home countries too. It's not good. They're always better off, if you're talking about that kind of mission, you're always better off continuing with the status quo and subverting those countries through population and the laws within the country, not going to arms. If they go to arms, they're fucked. They're done. There won't be a fucking Somali pirate in the United States anywhere, because they will get hunted down to extinction.
I saw something, I think it was like 75% of parliament over there is Muslims. And people that are not from there, right? They're not.
No, yeah. They're using the.
And you're seeing that happen in Minnesota on town councils. You're seeing it happen all across lots of states in the United States.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's.
I just saw a video.
Subversion's the best way to go.
I saw a video a chick put out this morning while I was working out. And then I saw several people actually made videos on her video. And she said, she says, riddle me this. She says, I have a house for sale in Minnesota. We're leaving Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it was Minnesota. And she has Ring cameras. And they've been listening. They've had like 50 people come look at the house. Nobody's made an offer on the house. And the comments on the Ring camera and everything they're hearing are, we have to get rid of that flag. She has an American flag. And so we got to tear this flagpole down. We'd have to get rid of the flag. Do we really... She showed it all to the real estate agent. The real estate agent said, put up a Minnesota flag because it looks like a Somali flag. They're very similar. I think it was Minnesota. So they changed the flag and got 4 offers that week on the house because they're all Somalis. Everybody coming to look at the house.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest population drop of Somalis in the country was in Minnesota. So, yeah. I mean...
So everything on YouTube right now, all the prepper sphere is all, there's an attack imminent in the next year inside the United States, sleeper cells.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it's not, you can't keep it out of the realm of possibility that it would happen. I kind of poo-poo it a lot.
How come it's not happened in the last
10 years? I kind of poo-poo it a lot because again, a lot of people, especially people outside of the United States, they don't understand how big America is, right? They don't understand how big America is, and they also don't understand how quickly you could be assimilated, right? How quickly your views I don't want to say change, because if you're a radical in whatever side of the house you are, your views might not change, but then again, your views are also like
being homeless here in the United States is so much better than
I could do terrorism, or I could go to the mall. I could do terrorism, or I could get ice cream. I could do terrorism, or I could, let's go get cheeseburgers. It's kind of a different world here than other parts of the world, because the reality is, when you think of like real terrorist acts, like usually those people that are committing the most heinous of terrorism acts, they're kept sequestered inside that community of hatred. So they keep them inside that community of hatred, and then when it's time to execute, they're like, okay, go do it. So the person doesn't really have any time to go. The person really doesn't have any time to, like,
Right.
run through the music festival with their AK-47 and go, oh wow, this band is pretty good. Maybe I should not shoot everybody up and just listen to this music.
Yeah,
they don't have time.
It's never the elders at the mosque that are out there
No.
wearing the vests and getting the 73 virgins. It's the youngsters.
It's the youngsters, and
then there's a financial gain to the family, right? They pay the family and they make those martyrs the rock stars. They have posters of them.
I mean, I would just say, on a scale to so when because everybody keeps talking about October 7th, and they're talking about, in the United States we're going to have one that's bigger than they had in Israel.
Where are they going to paraglide from?
Well, I mean, technically you could, but again,
yeah. How many people were there on that day?
Yeah, you don't need a lot of terrorists. You don't need a lot of terrorists to create a problem in Israel. You don't need a lot of terrorists to create a problem in Israel. In the United States, you need a lot of motherfucking terrorists to create a problem. You can point to the Twin Towers and say, well, that was a problem. No, it wasn't. I mean, again, Twin Towers was a very localized thing. It didn't affect anybody in Kansas. It didn't affect anybody in Los Angeles.
Shit, they tried it 10 years before that.
Yeah, it did. It very localized. If you really want to create the same kind of have the same kind of effect that they had in Israel, you'd need 100,000 fucking terrorists to come to the United States, all stay sequestered, and then all execute their missions without getting caught. Is that even feasible? Is it even possible that could happen? It really couldn't happen without inside. It really couldn't happen without inside help, meaning federal, state, local agencies not fucking doing their jobs at all, because you can't have that kind of mindset and not get caught. I mean, even look at the cartel guys that just got caught with 180,000 rounds of ammunition. That was a mistake. Like, that was just. They didn't get caught because fucking, Jack Ryan was doing his job. They got caught because they overloaded a fucking U-Haul van. Now imagine trying to supply and organize, let's just say 10,000 terrorists inside the United States.
That ammunition was all bought from a single gun shop in Utah?
No, that's not
different.
It comes out that that's not true.
Okay.
What they were doing is they were using a bunch of people to buy smaller, 1,000 round. They were using a bunch of people to buy, and then they would consolidate it.
And it was 5.56 and 308.
It was mostly what they found was 308 and 7.62.
Okay.
So that's how you do it and not raise any eyebrows. But now that's how they were doing it and not raising any eyebrows, it's going to be more scrutinized, and people are going to be paying attention to it. Federal agencies are going to be paying attention to it. So, again, I don't foresee. Can you have again, San Bernardino County had some fucking jihadists kill a bunch of people, but again, very localized.
When?
That was 3 years ago, maybe 4. I'm getting too old, but again, very localized. It didn't create a national uproar because it was two people running around with fucking rifles shooting up office buildings. Very localized, not big enough for it to become a national crisis. So you really have to, you kind of really have to red dawn it in the United States to create some sort of national crisis. I mean, even if you look at the World Trade Center, the Bush administration still had to push really, really fucking hard and break out a lot of stops and get a lot of people to fucking make assumptions that weren't true to get the war in Iraq started. Like, we didn't, the towers didn't come down and we were like, fuck it, we're killing everybody. We were like, hey, you know, they got cake, and hey, UN, we need to get together and stop Saddam, and like, it didn't happen immediately, and that was the World Trade Center. So you really have to.
How long was it?
Before we went into the war? Jesus.
A year, wasn't it?
It was more than that. We were, just Desert Storm was a year. Just us preparing to go into the war was a year. They were fucking around with yellow cake in the UN for probably close to a year before that.
What do you mean yellow cake?
We were telling, our Department of Defense was telling everybody that the fucking Iraqis had yellow cake, which is a terminology for nuclear material.
Got it.
It's a type of
Okay.
type of material.
Okay. Got it. Have you heard about all the earthquakes in Tennessee lately? Have you felt any of them?
Not a single one.
Apparently, there's a lot of earthquakes.
Yeah, but
A 4.0, and then there was 1,000.
you
little
have
ones.
to. Here's the thing, though.
New Madrid fault.
No, everybody needs to take a chill pill and stop pretending that when someone's like, when somebody's doing this, they're just telling you news that nobody's reporting. If you go on to the United States, so we have seismic devices all over the United States. If you go and look, you can go and look at the seismic activity within the United States. Go back 5 years. It's going to be the same. It's going to be exactly the same. There's going to be earthquakes. Earthquakes happen all the fucking time. We are a fucking spinning ball flying through the earth, sitting on magma. It happens all the time.
So apparently, there's massive sinkholes in the Mississippi River, where parts
cracks,
of the bottom has just fallen through into the abyss, and nobody knows where it's gone. However, the water hasn't all fallen in the hole, right? So it must have already been full of water. But the conspiracy theory is that they have deep underground bases and cities, and one of the places they have put them is one of the entrances to this massive complex is in Chattanooga.
It might be true.
So because of all the drilling and everything, it's causing seismic activity all through
It might
Tennessee.
be true, and drilling does create seismic activity.
And then what is Oak Ridge doing, right? What's happening in Oak Ridge?
I don't know what they're
Didn't
doing.
Oak Ridge say...
They opened a portal.
Yeah, 2 years ago they had a portal to another dimension.
They
they
opened a
fucking
portal,
opened.
So who knows? Again, what happens is we tend to focus a lot of our news on a specific thing. Like if we're talking about if we're talking about all the sports drinks, we're talking about all the sports drinks, and everybody's in the know about the sports drinks, this, whatever, Red Bull, whatever. And then I'm like, John, you're not going to fucking believe this. Pepsi Cola has 50% of the market within the United States. It's crazy. Well, they always have. But nobody was talking about it. It's kind of the same thing with earthquakes. It's the same thing with this fucking, where they're talking about these faults within the Mississippi Delta region. It's always been there. We've always known about these things, but nobody talks about it. And because we live in a world that is totally clickbait now, you have to create these stories that are like, oh my God. Same thing when we talk about these underground bunkers, right? Everybody's talking about, all the rich people are building bunkers. They're building bunkers. This must be the end of the world. The world's going to end. They know something that we don't know. Well, here's a fact. Here is a fact. Fact is, rich people have always built bunkers. This is not new. Howard Hughes had a bunker. Rich people build bunkers. It's just how it goes. Governments build bunkers. It's just how it goes. If you can remember, you probably remember this about probably 10 years ago, that bunkers south of D.C. in Virginia that they declassified, and they're like, this is where all the senators were supposed to go, and it's underneath
Mount Weather or something.
Yeah, underneath the hotel. It's underneath that prestigious hotel,
Okay.
and they're like, this is where everybody was going to go. That was built in the 50s. Okay? Well, guess what? That particular bunker, for whatever reason, was declassified and identified as a location where people would go. Do you think that the Senate and the Congress and the President of the United States was like, oh, shucks, that was declassified. Now we don't have anywhere to go. Before that thing even hit the news, they had already built a new one. They're always doing that. So it's kind of this ridiculousness that if you think you're getting some sort of piece of breaking news, it's probably not breaking. It's just not breaking because nobody's paying attention to the fact that it's kind of like, well, I'll give you an example. One of the things that people keep talking about is shift pole change. We're like, oh my God, the poles are going to flip. Well, technically the poles have flipped before.
Mm-hmm. Takes a couple hundred years.
And
We're
technically,
in the process right now.
the poles have flipped before. But when they're talking about magnetic shift, every map that has ever been built since the fucking 50s, maybe even earlier, I'm just going to say 50s because those are the maps on Pendleton, they all have a magnetic shift on it. They all have a correction because the magnetic poles are always moving. It's not something that it's not something that was permanent when the fucking planet was formed and then suddenly last year, oh my God, the fucking poles are shifting. They've always been shifting.
What about the northern lights being able to be seen in other states?
It is just the effect of the weather in that thing. I was awesome. I saw him at John's place. I was out taking videos and shit.
Though,
yeah,
right,
you had to use a phone to see
Yeah.
it. These things that happen. Well, I'll put it this way. For whatever reason, as human beings, we compartmentalize things, and we compartmentalize things in the sense of we believe that the only history there ever was the history that we have lived in. We don't understand that there was history before us, and there's going to be history after us, and that includes all these things that we're like, oh my God, like. I can't believe the poles are shifting or there's earthquakes. Can't believe they're having or whatever. We just believe because it hasn't happened in our lifetime that somehow it didn't happen before. It's never going to happen again. This is just how the world works. And when you have liberals, crazy ass fucking liberals like Bill Gates and shit, that think that they can meddle in something on a global level and not create problems, that's how problems all happen. They happen because these motherfuckers are like, you know what? We should bring rabbits to Australia. That would be a great idea.
What do you know about that?
Oh well, what I know is we constantly introduce things into the outback of Australia to a certain extent that it destroyed the current ecological environment there, and they have to continue to introduce things. They went from fucking rabbits to cats, and now they have cat killers, and we are not good.
What do you mean cat killers?
They have a overpopulation of cats, and so they actually have dudes that's all they do is kill.
Beings.
Yeah, kill
there's
cats.
a bounty on them. My understanding was it was originally ships would stop there on the way somewhere else. So they released rabbits so that on the next trip through they could eat the rabbits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't realize. But what they didn't realize is there was no predators to that particular animal, and because there was no predators, it overpopulated and created a problem. It's the same thing that happened in kind of happened in New Zealand. They killed all the predatory animals, and then they're like, why do we have all these invasive species? We have all these invasive species because you killed all the predatory animals.
So you're aware of all the Burmese pythons in Florida, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's a pretty big problem.
Yeah.
And then the iguanas. Are you also aware that there is king cobras?
I'm sure, because it wasn't the majority of the python problem because the fucking breeding facility got wiped out.
A breeding facility or an import facility. Mm-hmm. Now I heard king cobras out of the same facility, and we're talking 20 years ago. I mean, this was like Katrina time or something. I know Katrina wasn't Florida, but this was been going on. It's taken this long for it to ramp up as it is.
But the cobras have the
king cobras? Oh yeah. So I watched a very interesting video yesterday. It's probably 30 minutes long. And this guy is like an ecological, I don't really know what he is. He's a biologist, right? Mm-hmm. And he is of the belief that the king cobras are not there. So Florida Wildlife has basically come out and said it is illegal for you to have any big snakes that you don't already have. Can't have them, can't breed them, can't sell them. So it's killed the pet industry with basically, I think, boa constrictors, but definitely Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons, I think, and anacondas. Anacondas are supposed to be out there. Anacondas are very aquatic, as are Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles are supposed to be a huge population of Nile crocodiles that are actively breeding. Now, a Nile crocodile gets 20 feet long. they eat motherfuckers all the time. There has been some attacks on human beings. The cobra thing, while while Florida Wildlife says it's there, you tell a reptile dude that this is where this thing is, they're going to go find it. Like, they live for that shit. It's like a motherfucking dude playing Pokemon Go or something. And nobody's been able to, there's no photos, there's not been one captured, like, you just don't see the thing. Same with the anacondas. Like, people aren't fucking actively killing anacondas, which anacondas would be an easier one because they give live birth, right? They're in the water all the time. You're not going to see them on the land like a python. Pythons have clutches of eggs upwards of maybe 75. That's the big number I've heard. And a python will sit there and actually incubate her eggs. She'll shiver and create heat. But just because you'd said cats and rabbits, that made me think of the video I had seen the other day.
I mean, I would assume, because the reason why the big snakes are able to survive in Florida is because they don't really have any competition,
and it's the environment's just perfect for them.
Yeah, where I would look at a cobra and I would be like,
well, cobras eat other snakes.
Cobras are not. I mean, yeah, cobras eat other snakes, but I would think that a fucking alligator would eat a cobra. I don't know.
An alligator would eat a cobra, but an alligator would also eat pythons and other things.
So I don't know.
As would any birds of prey would eat small snakes.
Yeah, but you are right in this. I would say that maybe it's just this, John, when you think about that, because we did say a breeding facility or a importer or whatever. If I said that there's fucking pythons or a certain kind of snake in the wild because of that, and that facility also had cobras, then you would have to, just from a public safety thing, you would have to also be like, well, there might be fun cobras out there too, bro. Like, there might be, because you can't be like, there's just anacondas and no cobras.
Yeah, nobody's been bit by one. There's not been an encounter of one. There was a green mamba. I think they said green mamba.
Yeah.
There was a green mamba that somebody encountered and got bit. And then nobody ever got the snake. Nobody found the snake. There was some documentation. Maybe the dude had a photo of it or something. They treated him for green mamba venom or whatever, and he recovered. Somehow they knew that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that,
But Florida's a hot state. Like, if you have a permit, you can have these animals. And one got out and bit someone.
Yeah, I would say that you're probably right, though, because they have the fucking roundups down there where they're just going after they're just going after as many snakes as you can get.
So it's actually open all the time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you're doing roundups. So I would assume that if you got, I don't know, let's say you got 1,000 people running around in the goddamn swamps looking for fucking snakes, somebody has to run into a cobra. It's not, but I don't know, because even here, I've only seen one venomous snake here the entire time I've lived here.
Really? We went out. So the first 6 years probably we were here, we were out snake hunting. We were actively driving roads right after it rained and trompsing through rivers and streams and shit. Now, I can take you out right now and show you 100 copperheads and cottonmouths just under the bridges on the back road. They're everywhere. I've never seen a rattlesnake. I've seen pictures of people with rattlesnakes. I know that there's a high population around Big Sandy of rattlesnakes. There's some big rattlesnakes out there. I've seen photos of them, but I've never came across one.
Yeah, as much tromping around as I do in the woods at John's place, I did have a kind of like this, I'm going to run into a snake, or like, picking up logs and all that. I always thought I would be running into him, and I've only seen one, and he was on the top of the hill, and I was mowing, and then I just saw him going. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, I mean, I was mowing at your house originally, like the first time we mowed your property, and those black snakes were there by the tree.
Yeah.
It's some really fast black snakes. And then we've seen one right after a big rain. It must have gotten washed into the culvert. It was right at the end of the driveway. There was a copperhead. We killed that. And then
that's all I ever see, though, is the black snakes.
Yeah.
I don't see any.
Yeah, we've caught many snakes on the property. They're king snakes. They're chicken snakes. We've seen little ringneck snakes here. When we put all the netting on the dam, when they built the dam, they put all that erosion netting up. we were catching black snakes every day. We were going out there every day, freeing black snakes that were getting caught. That netting,
in the net.
yeah, they would just they get caught in it, man.
Interesting.
Yep.
Florida, man. Did you see the Florida man thing recently?
No.
Crack meth head is on the racetrack, and people are calling. They're like, "Hey, this guy's down here on the racetrack. He's pretty erratic. He's going bananas."
On foot or on a vehicle?
On foot. He's on foot. And can you send police? Police come and they search for him, and they can't find him.
Vehicle racetrack?
Yeah, it's some. I don't know if it was it might have been a horse. It might have been a horse track, but they just say on the racetrack. And the police try and find him, and they can't find him. And then they get another person calling. They get this another person called. They're like, "Yeah, there's this crazy ass white dude, acting very erratic, and he's swimming in the pond. We've tried to save him by throwing him a fucking life jacket, and he won't take it. He just keeps screaming at us." Dude gets I shouldn't be laughing about this.
Attacked by alligator?
He gets attacked by an alligator. So gets bit by an alligator. Wait, the story is better because this Florida. Yeah, there's just
some wild shit.
There's something in the water in Florida for sure. Dude gets attacked by the alligator. Gets attacked by an alligator. Deputies show up. When the deputies show up, he somehow shenanigans his way to the police car with the deputies not close to the car.
Alligator attached.
No, he's already been bit by an alligator, but he has these giant pruning shears, and he is in the car, literally attacking everything in the car, trying to get the rifle out of the lock thing. And unfortunately for this guy, once he started going after the fucking guns, the deputies shot him and killed him. But I mean, Florida.
I'd like to see the toxicology report on that.
Attacked by an alligator, still in the fucking fight. Well, it's Sheriff Grady that did the thing, and he's like, he's holding the picture of this guy up, and of course the picture shows him in an orange jumpsuit, and then one of the reporters is like, did he have a criminal record? And he's like, "Oh, I'm glad you asked. Meth. Like, he just goes over like 10 different things that this guy was in jail for meth, and he's like, and he had just been released from jail."
So the picture he had of him in the jumpsuit,
yeah,
did they have him in custody after they shot him, or he died?
No, he died.
Got it. So it was a prior.
This is prior, yeah.
Got it.
He always
Got
has.
it.
He loves showing pictures of
people in fucking custody clothing.
Yeah, so crazy. Florida is just a wild place. I'd like to go down to Florida and catch iguanas and
we've been
watch you
invited
catch
to
snakes because I don't want to deal with snakes.
We got a friend, client, T-Dub, that does that down there for a living. They're on the way to a big air gun shoot, and they're coming by here next week sometime. I think it's next week.
Oh.
I'll get the dates for sure. I'm sure they'll bring some of those cool ass guns we can check out. So did you see Bongino and Cash Patel?
Yeah, I saw it.
What the fuck do you think that's about?
Again, like we said last time, I think they got to look behind the curtain, and they were like, "Oh shit, I guess there are lizard people running the country, and we can't expose it." So
as don't watch this, watch this. They've come out this week and said they're reopening the investigations on who prosecuted January 6th. They're going after whoever used the auto pin. I saw some videos talking about going after Miley.
Yeah. There was the reality is just like currently with current President Trump, there are people within the federal government that are committing treason. There, just like last time when he was president, there are people within the federal government that are committing treason, and because they have created this fantasy in their head, they believe that anything they do against Donald Trump is right because Donald Trump is evil, even though Donald Trump has done nothing evil. Like, he's done more. The reality is, just from a liberal Democrat perspective, if they would pull their heads out of their fucking asses and stop listening to talking points, he's done more for their community than Obama did. So it's all nonsense. But again, you have a section of people that the reality is, man, I hate to say it, but the fucking the Democratic Party is looking more and more like fucking Nazis than the Nazis were, because they're instead of evaluating what is going on based off of facts, they're using their ideology in order to continue to push forward. And so they will justify anything in their head if they feel like it's anti-Trump. Meaning, there are liberals out there that are wholeheartedly justifying murder in their head because Trump is evil, even though Trump has done nothing to you. Not a fucking single thing to him. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, there's people in the government right now that are committing treason because they took an oath of office. That's the issue. The issue is, for example, I couldn't have not went into Somalia because Clinton was president. It couldn't have been like, oh, fuck him. I don't like him. He's evil. He gets blowjobs underneath the fucking desk in the White House. I couldn't have done that because I swore an oath of office to include the President of the United States. And so, because you have all these people that can't separate their ideology from politics, they're committing treason. They are literally committing treason. I hope Trump pulls every one of their fucking security clearances.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think we're in a position where I think we're in a precarious position where weak liberal leaders are going to force us into a wider global conflict because they cannot solve any of the problems that they have in their own countries. That's what I think. And then I think you have weak liberals within our current government that will be joyful to have a fucking larger global war, because it takes the focus off of them. And it takes the focus off of them being fucking retards.
So just a few weeks ago, we weren't going to have any world war, and we were going to work out all these peace negotiations, and
it's just,
now all of a sudden, World War III.
Well, I mean, again, you have individuals within our government and within other governments within the United States who are working to go to war. They want to sacrifice and kill their fucking brethren.
You think that's on both sides?
No, I think Putin is...
No. I mean on both sides, Republican and Democrat.
Probably more well, it's definitely more Democrat than Republican. Because, remember, this is the third time we've had a red wave. This is the third time we've had a red wave in the United States as far as new incumbents.
Don't we?
And the new incumbents within the Republican Party don't want to go. They don't want people going to war.
Don't the Republicans have this final say right now?
No.
No.
Nobody. Here's the particulars. Is when we're talking about a larger war. Like when we're talking about a larger war within the world, no one has a say when it happens, how it happens, or who's going to go.
Right, because we don't
it just happens.
Because Congress doesn't have to declare war anymore.
Well, again, because we're not really.
There doesn't have to be a vote on it.
Because we're not really understanding the dynamics of what could possibly happen. Let's say Iran provides the Houthis with a missile that actually sinks a U.S. carrier in the Persian Gulf. Would we declare war against Iran then? Yeah, you would probably get everybody to fucking vote to go to war with Iran if a U.S. carrier was sunk in the fucking Persian Gulf. So you don't know the thing that's going to drag you in, but because of terrible policies leading up to said decision, right? It's the terrible liberal policies that lead us into fucking global war. And because those policies are going to lead us in a direction where the Houthis do have the capability to do that, and it does happen, then all of a sudden we're in a fucking global war.
So apparently Ukraine signed a deal for the minerals for repayment to the United States. Apparently that happened like a week or two ago with Zelensky and Trump and whatever. It is said that where all those minerals currently reside, Russia holds all that territory right now in Ukraine where that is.
Yeah, I don't know the extent of whether that's true or not. I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter. They signed a deal 5 years ago. They signed a deal with Britain 5 years ago. So does our deal null and void the British deal? I mean,
So what do you-
and again, I would be under the impression that no real deal has been finalized with the United States because we're not ramping up. Or Trump's not ramping up support. The reality is the only reason why any support is getting ramped up is because fucking Putin's talking about World War III. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that particular question. And again, I don't fuck. What are we talking about? Pay for play here? I don't care. NATO should solve this problem. The fucking European allies should solve this problem. They should handle their own goddamn continent. I don't give a fuck about. I mean,
Don't you know they can't?
I know they can't, but again, that's not our problem.
I'm with you.
That's not our problem. It's not our problem. We need to fucking mind our own business when it comes to this. And if Europe burns to the ground because those fucking idiots are all run by fucking crazy people, that's how you fix it. That's how you fix a forest, is with a good fire. So fix it. Let it happen. Just let it happen.
So what do you think happens in the next couple of weeks here? Or 30 days?
30 days, I don't know. Probably more of the same shit. More of the same
bullshit?
stuff. Yeah, more bullshit. More, look over here. Look at what we're doing here. I mean, I don't think anything particularly strategic happens in the next 30 days. I know everybody's talking about China ramping up for the imminent invasion of fucking Taiwan. But we have, again, under the Biden administration, we would have let Taiwan go. He had an opportunity. We were spending billions of dollars in Ukraine. All our focus of effort was on Ukraine. The Biden administration wouldn't have fucking sent Marines into the Pacific to fight the Chinese if they had fucking got a foothold in Taiwan. They wouldn't have. They would have let China take Taiwan. Now, if the Japanese sat on the sidelines in that scenario, then Taiwan is lost. But I don't think the Japanese are going to sit on the sideline. I think that's the biggest misnomer that people have about what's going on in that Pan-Pacific area. Japanese are not going to sit on the sideline. The Japanese are looking for an opportunity to punch China in the face. And if China responds to getting punched in the face, no matter what, whether they're successful or not in doing damage to the Japanese military apparatus, we will then respond in kind. Japan is our greatest ally in the Pacific. If they are threatened by China in any particular way, we are going to the fucking mat for China. We won't do that for Taiwan. I mean, I would post-Trump election. We won't do that for Taiwan. Trump gets elected, we're refocusing back into the Pacific. We're starting to put resources in the Pacific. We're spending money to get those bases operational in the Pacific.
Currently.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not talking about his next re-election.
No, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about him right now. We are currently doing things in the Pacific to keep China from being able to do that. So from from a planning perspective, if you're China and you have a window of opportunity that opens where you could possibly invade this other country, where the American response is going to be slow and long because the president doesn't have the capability to run the country, and we're spending too much money in Ukraine, that's the time you take it. You don't go,
that window's closed.
In 2026, we're going to fucking take Taiwan back, and we're going to let the U.S. build up all this military presence in the Pacific. Well, it doesn't make that does not make any sense from a tactical perspective whatsoever. Surprise is the key. They had the opportunity and they fucking fumbled. Well, I don't know if they fumbled.
They might have even tried.
No, I don't know if
all those exercises.
I don't know if they fumbled. They might not have fumbled. China may have been also under the false impression that that Donald Trump could not be reelected, right? So this could be just a tactical error on their side for not understanding that if Donald Trump got reelected, that their window would be closed, because Trump is not going to let them take Taiwan. He's not going to give Taiwan away. He's going to use the military forces that he's structuring right now, that the Department of Defense is structuring right now, for a Chinese war. We are specifically talking about going to war with China. And let's again not forget, the Japanese want a seat at the table. And if they punch China in the face hard enough, they're going to get their seat at the table.
You think they'll use swords this time?
No, I don't think there'll be any swords. It depends on how successful they are.
You think they'll get the World War II swords back out?
Am
I going to be able to get one? Is what I'm asking.
Well, you won't, because they're going to be our allies, and this time they're going to win.
Maybe they'll trade. There'll be some bringbacks.
This time they're going to win. But if let's just say the Japanese Navy. Let's say the Japanese Navy is very successful in destroying a shit ton of Chinese.
Sinking China's wooden boats.
Yeah, if Japan is very successful at thwarting some sort of Taiwan invasion, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if there was some backroom award ceremonies where swords are being given out again, just as kind of like, wouldn't surprise me one bit if they started giving the swords back out.
Unit Threat 73 is going to stand back up.
No, we took all those guys. They work for us now.
Yeah.
So, that's the kind of thing that we tend to not, when we think about the Pacific, we always think about the United States, and then some people talk about NATO, but the reality is,
we are NATO.
Outside of Europe, NATO has never been operational. NATO has never come to the support of the United States in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Pacific Theater. Again, yes. Has Britain sent troops?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, they've sent some guys. Has Norway sent some troops? Yeah, they sent some guys. But it's never a NATO action. That is why they always call. That's why whenever since the invasion of since the first Gulf War, we always call it a coalition. We call it a coalition of forces. Look at these 10 armies we've brought to the table that really only have 10,000 troops in total, while we put 100,000 troops on the ground to fight this thing. It's just optics. It's to make it look good. NATO has never done shit. Like NATO, even when you think about Bosnia, when you think about the Bosnian War, and we're going to use NATO to stop. NATO didn't do anything.
Have you seen the movie Ungentlemanly Warfare?
Yeah.
Fucking great movie.
I wish they would make more movies like that.
Okay, so there's a series, and I want to say it's Who Dares Wins, right? It's the SAS.
Yeah, the SAS, it's pretty good.
And it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's not Who Dares Wins. Pretty good.
Yeah.
There's 2 seasons. The first season was like a documentary, it seemed. The second season is like a TV show. But it's pretty decent.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just watched that last night.
Ungentlemanly Warfare?
Uh-huh.
Fucking good movie. I'd go back and watch it again.
The thing is, it's fucking Superman, man. He's such a good actor. Like,
who's Superman?
The main character in that show.
Is Superman?
Yeah.
For a TV show Superman?
No, he was the movie Superman. And he's going to go back and be the movie Superman again. Chris Cavill or Henry Cavill? Yeah. Henry Cavill.
Last time I saw it, it was...
he did another one where he did... which if you liked...
Who got thrown from Christopher Reeves?
If you liked that movie, he did another one which was fucking really good, and I wish they would make another one. But Man from U.N.C.L.E. If you go
a remake of it,
yeah,
is it a TV show?
No, originally it was a TV show series, but they made a movie, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and holy shit, was it the Russian the same? No, the Russian was the same guy, but very good. It was a really good fucking movie.
Okay, so the Pirates.
What about
the black pirate with the little fro haircut, side quarters, sideways? That dude was driving for FedEx. Delivers FedEx yesterday, or Amazon, jumps out, flamboyantly gay, and he's got his rainbow flag, and I'm like, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm so good, I'm just so good. You good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, is this all of it? He's like, yeah, unless you need something else. And I'm like, I mean, I got a kid in here you might want to meet. His name's Isaac. But he took off. But he reminded me of that fucking pirate dude.
Yeah.
He looked just like him.
That is a really good movie, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's good.
They're fucking killing everyone.
It gets a little. I just love the way they do the things that they do. Are just kind of the. It gets a little Tarantino, a little bit of Tarantino in there with the killing, but outside of that,
where'd they get all their suppressed weapons from? Everything was suppressed.
Yeah, everything was suppressed. It was awesome. I'm like, oh man, I need a suppressed sten. Anybody out there got a suppressed sten?
Mark 6 silent gun.
It's fucking pretty. It was a good movie.
Did those really mags insert sideways?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
They inserted sideways. Yep, it was a good movie. I really I appreciated. Because I don't watch.
Did you catch the very end?
I don't watch war movies.
Each character became.
Yeah, I don't watch war movies anymore. Generally,
because they don't make them anymore.
But that was a good escapism kind of.
Used to turn on TV on every Sunday, and it was just war movies.
I saw a thing the other day, which is pretty true, because I looked up combat on YouTube, and. In the 50s, the difference between, I mean, I guess it's the same now today when you think about it, but in the 50s, when you saw a World War II movie or you saw Combat, the TV series, those guys all were really in the military. Like they all fought and were really in the military.
And a lot of that all that footage was taken by somebody in combat.
It's kind of like, Ren, God, that fucking Star Wars character, the latest Star Wars character, Kylo Ren, who's a Marine.
Oh, I thought you said Star Trek.
Star Wars, yeah. Anyways, what else? That's it. That's all we got.
We'll do Q&A now.
We'll do Q&A.
Question and answer. If you guys are into that kind of thing, you guys ask the questions. We build the video around it. Last one was like 90 minutes long, based on the questions you guys ask. That's a paid membership. But if you're hearing this, you're probably a paid member also, because this comes out to members only. And if you're hearing this and you're like, I'm not a member, that means it's like 3-4 months old. So if you want to catch these as current events, what is it? I think it's $5.
Can we get members only jackets?
Yes. Yeah, let's go this weekend to some stores and get members only jackets.
Members only jackets.
And we'll have it embroidered on the back, members only.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Have you seen all the Bigfoot ads going around? Motherfuckers are sending them to me left and right. They're sending this to Scully. Apparently on all the PXs.
The PXs, yeah.
There's a big Bigfoot cutout. Yeah. And it's got night vision and shit on.
Hey, if you are in the military,
get me one of those.
Or you work at the PX, send me one of those Bigfoot. What is it? It's an
ad for something.
It's
energy drink?
No, it's not an energy drink. It's one of those foofy drinks. Is it a hard lemonade? I think it's hard lemonade is what it is. I think that's what it is.
Well, if we just find the entrance to the underground city in Knoxville or Chattanooga, that's where the Big Feet are.
You think the Big Feet are there? I don't think the Big Feet are there. I think the Big Feet are in Florida. No. Yeah, suntanning on a beach somewhere.
You think that's why them guys all go crazy? They shave Bigfoot down, and that's actually him?
That could be it.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
West Virginia?
Huh?
You ever been to like Boone, West Virginia?
Boone County mating call? Fucking Vicodin?
You ever been to Bluefield?
That's where Tyler's from.
I haven't been no goddamn darn Bluefield.
You'll see a Sasquatch.
I don't know.
Virginia or West Virginia?
Just because she has a
railroad tracks actually are the main street.
Just because she has a mustache does not make her a Sasquatch.
Look up Virginia abandoned towns. There's entire towns that are abandoned where people still live.
Yeah.
That's got to be weird. Like
Hell
when
yeah.
when your town is considered abandoned,
and there's still commerce, but there's no businesses
there's
open.
still people there. Because that was like I can't think of the name. What's that town that's outside of it's outside of 29 Palms.
There's a lot of railroad towns like that.
Well, outside of 29 Palms, it went up for sale, and it was like $10 million. And it came with a post office, a restaurant, a hotel, a train stop, and 2 people. Like how do you buy a town that comes with people?
Yeah. Have you seen?
But you can do it.
Great YouTube channel called Ghost Town Living.
Yeah.
Right in the COVID, this guy buys a silver mine town.
Oh, okay, yeah.
and
Yeah.
Heavy D and those
Yeah,
guys
guys went up there and helped him with
many
trying
times
to get the hotel up
Yeah, and
and
they got
stuff.
the water tower working.
Yeah.
This dude's been down fucking 4 hours deep in the
Yeah.
mine and like just crazy, man.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing to watch if you're.
If you need an escape, I do that pretty constant, right? I'm constantly watching current events and, oh my God, we're going to die. Oh my God, you got to do this. You got to buy this. You got to do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I need to do something completely different. I listen to Aaron Mahnke, Lore podcast is really good because there's some really calming piano music in the background.
His voice is soothing.
Or I listen to Heavy Sparks. I listen to the Diesel Brothers channel, and I listen to Ghost Town Living. Those are like, you just need an escape and you need something in your ear while you're doing some other shit. Those are good options right there. Or Pulling the Thread podcast right up there.
Yeah, that'll put you to sleep.
See you guys next
Can you
week.
put some piano music in?
Beautiful piano music.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Anything else? Any other requests?
No.
No, just piano.
God, well, you're so